That's way up there. What is that, like a G?
That incredible voice belongs to EJAE, a 33-year-old South Korean and American singer-songwriter and record producer based in Brooklyn. Never heard of her? Industry insiders call her the Benny Blanco of K-pop, and she's the genius behind the bangers from the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack that's burning up the charts. She may be the secret sauce to that movie's success, but she's no overnight sensation. She's been on her own tortuous journey, making her the real-life Rumi. Everyone's obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters, the visuals, the demons, the bops, but let's be real. There's one song that completely hijacked the internet. Golden. It's charting everywhere, it's the song of the summer, and it's probably already stuck in your head. So naturally, people started asking, wait, who's the voice behind Rumi? When they search, they find Arden Cho listed as the lead actress. But here's the plot twist. Arden Cho does a brilliant job as the lead-speaking voice of Rumi, bringing that character to life. But that singing voice, that power, that heartbreak, that grit, and those impossibly high notes, that's not Arden. That's someone else entirely. Her name is EJAE, and trust me, her story is even more jaw-dropping than the movie itself. Once you hear her story, you'll never watch the movie or listen to the songs the same way. She was rejected by K-pop, told she was too old, and then disappeared behind the scenes. Her story could have ended there, but the universe had other plans for her. EJAE isn't on the posters, she isn't doing the press tour, but she's the engine of the soundtrack. So who is this mystery woman? Let's dig deeper. When K-pop Demon Hunters dropped on Netflix, no one saw it coming. A K-pop girl group fighting demons? With a crazy concept like that, this could have been the cringiest movie of the year. But what no one expected was the music. Both Huntrix and Saja Boys are now topping music charts around the world. And they're not even real groups. They're beating records set by real-world K-pop superstars like Blackpink and BTS. Within days of launching, Golden hit #1 on Spotify's US chart. The entire soundtrack rocketed a Billboard. And let's not forget TikTok. Fan edits, reaction videos, dance covers, memes, and vocal challenges. Everywhere. One song in particular had everyone spiraling. Who is this voice? Viewers thought the main character, Rumi, was voiced and sung by Arden Cho, but something felt different when listening to the songs. The singing had a raw, powerful, soulful, layered emotion that haunted listeners. So fans did what fans do best. They investigated. And that's when the real story began to unravel. But who they discovered wasn't just a singer. She was a survivor of K-pop's most brutal system. Before she was the voice shaking the internet, EJAE was just another hopeful teen chasing the K-pop dream. Her real name? Kim Eun-jae. She was born in Seoul, South Korea, and when she was around 12 years old, she became an idol trainee at SM Entertainment, one of Korea's biggest and most competitive idol factories. The dark side of the K-pop industry is well documented today, but back then, not much was known about it. For around 10 years, she trained nonstop, singing, dancing, dieting, performing under pressure, and constantly being told she had to be perfect. Year after year, her friends debuted, but she didn't. She was passed over again and again. No group, no solo deal. And when she finally hit her 20s, SM told her she was too old to debut. And just like that, the dream was gone. Brutal. Most people would have quit, and honestly, who could blame her? Imagine giving your whole teen life to a system, then being told the clock ran out. That'll mess with anyone's head, no matter how tough you are. But EJAE didn't disappear. She evolved. After walking away from her idol dreams, she moved to the US full-time and became EJAE. But instead of giving up, she flipped the script. She picked up a pen, got behind the mic, and started writing songs for other people. Her big break? A moody, dramatic hit called Psycho by Red Velvet. That was her. She co-wrote the top line. It was a song she wrote about fighting with an ex-boyfriend. And the twist? Red Velvet is part of SM Entertainment. Suddenly, the same industry and label that rejected her was now singing her words and paying her to do it. That track climbed to #1 and went gold in the US, a first for the group. And for EJAE, it was the beginning of her quiet takeover. From there, her name started showing up everywhere. Twice, Espa, La Seraphim, N-Mix, sometimes one line, sometimes the whole feeling. She became the go-to ghostwriter for some of K-pop's biggest acts, shaping the sound of a generation, but always behind the scenes. Fans started calling her the Benny Blanco of K-pop, a nod to her uncanny ability to craft hits, then duck cameras. She wasn't chasing fame anymore, she was creating it, but for everyone else. Until a certain Netflix movie came calling and pulled her into a role that would change her life forever. When Netflix and Sony started building K-pop demon hunters, they needed someone to help give the movie a soul by shaping the music. They needed someone who understood K-pop and emotion in both English and Korean. EJAE was brought on early, but she wasn't hired to sing, she was hired to write. At first, she was just making demos, writing tracks, singing rough versions, helping the directors figure out the sound of the movie. But the more they heard her voice, the more they couldn't unhear it. By the time they were deep in production, co-director Maggie Kang had a bold idea when the time came to decide who should sing Rumi. The question changed to, why not the voice we're already feeling? And just like that, EJAE went from ghostwriting behind the scenes to becoming the musical heartbeat of the entire film. She didn't just sing, she embodied the character. In an interview, Maggie Kang revealed that EJAE's early demos were fundamental in getting the green light for K-pop demon hunters, calling EJAE the heart and soul of Huntrix. But creating a few catchy tunes wasn't enough. What came next was a full-blown musical universe, and she had to build it from the ground up. This wasn't just about writing bops. EJAE had to build an entire soundtrack that carried a story, from heartbreak to battle cries to personal transformation. Every song had to match a scene, a mood, a plot twist. No pressure, right? She worked with a dream team which included executive music producer Ian Eisendrath, along with some very talented producers from the Black label. But the workload? Insane. The opening scene, which features the song How It's Done, had over 50 demo versions. That's how meticulous this project was. She had to create songs that felt K-pop, but also demonic, dramatic, and cinematic. Think traditional Korean instruments layered over supernatural beats, and everything had to sound seamless in both English and Korean. Tracks like How It's Done, Your Idol, and of course, Golden weren't just polished. They were obsessed over. It wasn't glamorous work. Lyrics were constantly rewritten. Melodies were tested in hotel rooms, Airbnbs, anywhere she could record. She even laid down high notes in total silence while vacationing in Japan, praying the neighbors wouldn't hear her belting demon-fighting anthems.
I was in Japan for a trip, just for a vacation. They're like, hey, you have to finish your song. I was like, all right. Japan's quiet, okay? And I was in my Airbnb. It was like a family town. And I was singing, and it was like, I felt, because I purposely put my headphones, and when I took it off, I heard someone like, Nani? Like, it's someone outside. But I had to finish the song.
All that hard work paid off. Each track didn't just fit the scene, it elevated it. And as the songs came to life, something unexpected happened. EJAE's personal story started seeping into the lyrics. The more you listen to the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack, the more you realize. These songs aren't just about the characters, they're about EJAE. With her lyrics, she's talking to her younger self, the trainee who kept being told, maybe next year. She's not writing a fantasy, she's writing a promise she needed to hear. Take Golden, that uplifting anthem. It wasn't just written for Rumi. EJAE cracked open her diary and poured her own struggles into every line. The lyric, we dreamin' hard, we came so far, now I believe we're going up, 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 were inspired by the heartache from her SM trainee days and from her days hustling to break into songwriting. As she explained to Genius Korea, I came a long way, and I think I personally needed a song that helped me believe that I'd make it someday. It was a manifestation song to me. And the lyric, put these patterns all in the past now, and finally live like the girl they all see. That wasn't just about a fictional demon-slaying pop star trying to hide her scars. That was about EJAE, breaking free from the pressure to hide her true self in order to fit into someone else's version of perfect. She admitted that she cried while recording it. It was a time in her life when she was doubting her own abilities and still hiding the shame of rejection. Her own personal demons whispered into her ear, "You can't sing. You can't compose." In an interview with a Korean broadcaster, she recalled that the experience of writing and singing Golden was therapeutic, saying that she really needed that song without realizing it. Even Your Idol, the seductive, creepy hit sung by the villainous Saja Boys, was inspired by her own memories of the toxic idol system. From dark fan culture to perfectionist pressures, she wove it all into the lyrics with a twisted kind of honesty, and fans felt it deeply. What started as a fantasy soundtrack for kids suddenly became a reflection of something deeper, something much more real. Once the soundtrack dropped, it didn't take long for fans to connect the dots. The voice they couldn't stop hearing, the lyrics they couldn't shake. It was all EJAE, and suddenly, the girl who used to ghostwrite for other idols was now trending on TikTok. Fans flooded her socials with comments like, "Your voice is perfect for Rumi," and "Why haven't we heard of you before?" Some were shocked to learn she was once labeled a failed trainee. Others were furious she hadn't debuted sooner. But most just obsessed. Within a week, her follower count exploded. Her voice was everywhere. Cars, phones, nightclubs, beaches. People who never watched the movie and never listened to K-pop were now streaming her songs. And Golden? It wasn't just a hit. It was submitted for an Oscar. For someone who once begged to just sing from behind the scenes, this moment was surreal. Once, she abandoned her dream for fame. But it found her anyway. EJAE's story isn't just a glow up. It shatters everything we thought success in K-pop was supposed to look like. EJAE didn't debut in a glittery girl group. She didn't have a viral dance or a splashy stage moment. What she had was grit, heartbreak, and a voice that refused to stay silent. She was told she was too old, too different, not the right look, and instead of fading away, she built an entirely new path. One where her voice didn't just blend in, it led. From writing for K-pop's biggest names to becoming the unexpected star of Netflix's biggest animated musical, she turned Rejection into resonance. Now, she's more than just the singing voice behind Rumi, she's the story behind Golden, the songwriter behind the Saja Boys, the woman who took everything the soul-crushing system threw at her and spun it into songs that resonate with fans around the world. And if the Oscar buzz, sequel rumors, and sold-out merch are any clue, this is just the beginning. EJAE was told she didn't fit the mold, so she broke it.